When it comes time for you to be the one that's getting enhanced, will you know how to get the most out of that match? Today, I've got the essential tips and tricks you need to know to maximize the results. It's next on Till We Make It. I'm Mike Quackenbush, and this is Till We Make It. If you are passionate about the craft of professional wrestling and you're never done learning all about it, then you've landed in the exact right place. What are you waiting for? Go ahead, join the Till We Make It tribe, subscribe down below. Or if you want to take your education, your participation to the next level, follow the link down below in the descriptus. Come join our community over on Patreon. Not only will you get to join this awesome roll call, you'll get access to 532 exclusive posts and constantly growing, including the Patreon exclusive video I publish every Monday. And then at 2:22 p.m. every single Tuesday, I publish 2 bits of advice in Tidbit Tuesday. And that is just the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Come dive into the deep end of learning about pro wrestling by joining us over on Patreon. And I am sorry in advance if I'm a little more nasally sounding than usual on this week's Till We Make It. I've been a little bit under the weather, but I thought it was important I show up for our weekly YouTube rendezvous. So this is what it's going to be. Today, we're talking about enhancement matches, sometimes called squash matches or get-over matches. And specifically, I want to come from the perspective of when you are the person, you're the talent being enhanced by the match. Of course, the opposite side of that equation is when you are showing up in service to someone else by making them in the enhancement match. And I have some experience on both ends of the spectrum. In fact, the second match I ever wrestled was me and another guy in a handicap match getting squashed by a gigantic hillbilly wrestler named Man Mountain Chris, I think somewhere in rural West Virginia. But today, we're specifically going to tackle it from the point of view of when you are being enhanced. And I've got some essential tips and tricks to go over to make sure you optimize the results in this exact situation. Ready? Up first, you want to prioritize personality over emotion during your entrance. There will be a time when you want to come out and make an emotional choice the moment you arrive on stage. You want to show that you are focused. You want to show that you are angry, whatever the case may be. But an enhancement match is a distinctly different beast from the vast majority of wrestling matches you're going to have in your career. This is a feature uniquely about you, and it needs to get over your personality to the audience, even if the entire segment is only 2 minutes long. That's why I want you to prioritize showing your character's personality over coming out with an emotional choice during the entrance. Get the most out of these precious seconds that are being dedicated to getting your character over. This is unique in the course of a wrestling career because most times the attention is going to be neatly divided between you and your opponent. Or if you're in a tag team situation, it's divided up even further. If there's a ringside manager, valet, a story to be told, the attention is divided up even further. But in the case of an enhancement match, it's all about you. Before I dive into my next tip, won't you please take a moment right now and leave a like-a-palooza down below? I could really use the engagement. Thanks for helping the channel out. My second tip for you is this. Do not default to 3-act structure when you're putting a squash together because an enhancement match isn't 3 acts long. It's 1 act. Think of it just as the first act, the shine, the open, or the promise, and then a finish. The person being enhanced by this match is going to show their values and their personality directly en route to their finisher. There are no detours in the storytelling. And that is different than a detour in the mechanics. So the story of the match is just to enhance one character. But mechanically, If the person who is being squashed, the person doing the enhancing, reverses a whip, lands a kick to the midsection, gets a crossbody in the middle, that would be a mechanical detour. They are showcasing a move, but it doesn't detour the story, which is all about the values, personality, and potentially the finishing move of one character only. When you are the beneficiary of a squash match, remember that one act is about you and you alone. Up third, you've got to design your match so that your character's value is front and center. Know what I mean by that? Let's say that your character's value is brute strength, or your character's value is acrobatic skill. Then you have to make sure the match is designed to make you look like a powerhouse, to make you look like a high flyer. It has to be crystal clear to the audience when the final bell rings what your character's value is. That way they understand what makes you unique even on a crowded roster. So design with that in mind more so than specific moves. This match has to convey value. This fourth tip is making my list because I've actually seen people getting this wrong recently. In a match that is designed to enhance you, you're not going to make any mistakes. You're not going to miss any moves. So you're not going to jump up in the air for a big elbow drop and the enhancement guy rolls away and you crash and burn. You're not going to take too long going to the top rope and then the enhancement guy catches you up there with the big Ric Flair slam. There are no mistakes. There are no missteps on the part of your character. If you are being introduced to a roster and the ring time and resources to present this enhancement match are being dedicated in service to you, you need to come across like a legitimate threat within the context of that locker room. And by making mistakes or missteps in your match, you'll actually defeat the whole purpose of the enhancement match. This next one is really important, so listen carefully. You've got to make sure to include your complete character ritual in the enhancement match. If you do your ritual during your entrance, make sure you showcase the complete character ritual. And if getting that in while also featuring your personality is going to take more time, drag out your entrance. This whole segment is to enhance you. Don't skip over this part. If your character ritual comes directly before your finishing move, make sure to line that up with hard cam and do it big and obvious so it cannot be missed. If your character ritual is part of your post-match celebration, be certain to communicate that so the cameras pick it up. But the character ritual is something that makes you uniquely different and allows the audience to play along with you. Think about Daniel Bryan, shuttle stepping to the ring, pointing his fingers toward the sky, getting the crowd to chant yes with him. That is an effective character ritual. It's something that people anticipate and they know how to play along. And at the end of the day, there are a lot of moves out there that are done by everybody. Everybody can do a drop kick. Everybody can do a Michinoku driver. You may not be the only person on the roster doing those moves, but you will be the only one on the roster doing that character ritual. And that's why it's so important to include it in your enhancement match. And last on my list of tips and tricks for your enhancement match is this. Don't expect the audience to remember more than 3 talking points when the match is over. And that might be your personality, your character ritual, and your finishing move. Expecting them to remember more than 3 things, I think, is a bit unrealistic. Wrestling fans will capture some of the broad strokes, what they think are essential pieces of information about your character, and very little else. So even if you have time, let's say you've been given 6 minutes for an enhancement match, which I think is an extraordinarily long amount of time to be enhanced. But let's say that's what you've been given, and you get to showcase all of your 5 moves of doom. Is the audience going to remember all of your greatest hits? That's very unlikely. If you get them to remember your value, your finishing move, some of your character ritual, those 3 things, that is a win. Don't expect them to remember everything. That's really unlikely. But you get 3 things over in that enhancement match, that's a win in my book. Are there any other essential tips or tricks about enhancement matches that I forgot? Tell me down below in the comments right now. And if you want to do a deeper dive into character ritual, grab my book. 7 Keys to Becoming a Better Performer, a book that I wrote for fellow pro wrestlers, is over on Amazon in print or digital, or you can get the audiobook over on Audible. It goes down easy, and I know you're going to learn something. Appearing on screen right now is another video so that you can keep on learning, as well as a link to my Patreon. Remember, I talked about that at the very top of the video today? We would still love to have you as part of the community. Come on over and join us.